All right. So, welcome to the AI Survivor Guide Business Edition. I am your host, Kam Intharath, the AI Advisor Guy. I work with businesses and leaders to cut through the noise around AI operations and the growth so that they can find the bottlenecks slowing their teams down and fix them with tools that actually work. My role is to be that general contractor connecting strategy, workflow, and execution so businesses can grow without more chaos. This is the master plan segment. To build a house, you need a blueprint, but to build a future, you need a master plan. Today, we're moving past the tools to talk about the laws, the logic, and the human code that will define the next era of work. I'm very excited and thrilled to welcome Eileen Melendez, the CEO and founder of HR Transformed. You might know her for her work in HR and leadership strategy, but I know her as the architect of human-centered leadership. She brings more than 25 years of experience in human resources and business management, and her work sits right at the intersection of leadership, culture, emotional intelligence, and business reality. And this conversation matters because when leadership is weak, AI can become a shield. It can make communications sound polished while trust gets weaker, culture gets thinner, and leaders slowly lose their human code. Eileen's, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Kam.
Yeah. We've known each other through the years, and I knew that you would be such a great guest for this episode. And I know we're going to have a lot of different episodes talking around the human side and just leaders today, because I see there's a lot of confusion and chaos, and all the AI projects or adoption issues is because it starts from the leadership side. I'm sure you're seeing that in your world too. And what's the pulse happening in today's world, with all the noise and chaos around AI? What are you hearing or feeling out there?
Well, we're seeing so many of these businesses really trying to embrace AI and not giving enough guideline on what that looks like when you put the human in the center of it. So I'm seeing a lot happening in terms of how people are responding emotionally to that whole turn.
And, we're going to be discussing the culture crack, right? So looking at leadership and workspace culture right now, what is the one thing most leaders are completely missing as they bring AI into the business?
I think they're forgetting their human voice. So AI should be there to really enhance the human voice and also help it. I don't want it to get to that sort of masking the human voice or the human experience, rather. So, polishing that sort of communication is really important, but also how do you build trust when someone doesn't feel like it's the authentic version of that human?
Right, because you see those M dashes. Usually you can see. I had this conversation with my wife the other day. She's like, I can tell someone wrote an email to me with AI. And my take is I think it's okay from a grammatical standpoint, as long as the core aspect of what you wrote is there and authentic, and you've maybe fine-tuned it, and it's still your true thought process and your true feeling behind it. I know as we get more comfortable with these AI tools, it's just expected, just like how we're using typewriters or calculators. Yeah. But I think there's a balance between being lazy and using AI and actually having a leader who's using it properly. So what's your take there?
Well, the M dash is the ultimate sort of telltale sign. And I feel so bad for people because I do a lot of work with PR agencies that write for a living, literally write for a living. And a lot of them use the M dashes appropriately. And now they feel like they can't even use an M dash because they're afraid that they're going to be pegged for using AI. So there's so many of these takeaways. But the biggest one for me is when you see a document or an email or something that someone produced and you talk to them, they're two completely different languages. And that polished version is fantastic when you use it appropriately. So I tend to give a tip of, if you're going to use AI to rewrite something for you, ask it to give you bullet points of what you should consider editing. And then do that yourself with your own thought process. Because if you do allow full documents to be redone and you're the one delivering it, it never, ever sounds authentic. So there's different ways. And Com, you've showed me this when we've sat down before and looked at different tools. You've shown me how to use those tools, and I've adapted in terms of how I give advice on the HR standpoint for using those things too. But that M dash, man, that it's like the giveaway, and it feels so bad for people. But I kind of tune out when I see that email. I'm like, all right, I'm done. There was no thought put into this one.
It's damn dash. Sometimes also the language, right? It's like unlocked. There's certain verbiage or words that it's using. But all right, so I want to play devil's advocate for a second here. So a lot of leaders will say, even the ones I work with, to say, well, Com, like it helps me move faster, right? Communicate better, scale my management. It can like strategize for me. It can crunch and do all this stuff for me, right? So like, okay, what's the problem? Like, so where does that logic break down?
In the delivery. It is absolutely in the delivery. So that emotional response we get when we see an M dash, it does something to you. That emotional response when you see a performance review written by AI, and you know your manager, these are not your manager's words. This is not the person that you meet with and talk with on a daily basis, that they're not that person's words. There's an emotional reaction to that. And so as leaders, some of them, they basically avoid the harder work of putting their voice together, putting this feedback together on their own, which is fine if you can use AI to help with that. It's just, is the experience on the receiving end of that information going to feel authentic, or going to feel like that person cared enough about me to actually be in the experience with AI versus allowing AI to drive that experience for them, right? So that emotional part, Com, is the biggest reaction, the biggest response that I see on the HR side.
Even having hard conversations, right? You just mentioned about that. Like, I mean, I'll use it to kind of say, okay, I'm going to have a hard conversation and like help me just like frame this up, right? So to your point, bullets, right? But you as the human, as the leader, still need to be the one delivering that in person or in a Zoom meeting, not just have the AI write it up, in a paragraph form, and it sounds, and have empathy in there, and then you send it off. Like, I don't think that's the right way to using it, but like, I don't know if you're seeing that. Like, what type of guidance would you give a leader who is struggling with those hard conversations? Because that's your specialty, right? It's like helping people understand how to have these hard conversations. And I had a mentor that tells me, it says, you're a culmination of like your ability to have those hard conversations.
Yeah. It's HR Transform's most popular training is Candid Conversations, because we show them the framework of putting their thoughts together and then delivering a conversation that could be difficult or kind of plagued with emotion, frustration, performance issues. What I love what AI can do is that you can plug your framework into AI and help put the talking points together, but absolutely not the script. The script has to be delivered in a way where, again, like that person's listening stays open. And I think that you think about sort of like an elephant's ears. That's how I kind of see it. Like, does my words come across and create openness, and those ears are open and they're receiving that information? Or are they going to use those ears to kind of close down and shut down because it's not landing well? So AI could be absolutely pivotal in helping you frame that conversation. And also, what I find really, really thrilling about AI helping have those hard conversations is that you can have an actual conversation and role play it with AI. Like, you can actually train the AI to put in some tough responses, some tough questions, or to even assess the way that you present the information. I mean, use it as a coach. If you're going to use it for anything, right? Like, help it prep and frame things for you, but also use it as a coach to kind of deliver on, like, is this is the information clear? Is it direct? Am I actually being supportive in this conversation, or am I just showcasing frustration or too much emotion? Because there's some managers who will avoid a hard conversation because they know they will lose it, or they avoid it because they just don't want to be in that uncomfortable setting. But like, use AI to help combat that piece of it and then deliver it kind of well,
And that's usually the quickest way when I work with leaders to like say, hey, let's just create like a co-CEO or co-assistant. So maybe they create like
you did that with me. I loved it.
Yeah, like a co-HR person, which wouldn't replace you, right? It's there for that like gut check, guidance, reframing them. But then they would meet with you and your team to kind of get them to that finish line. But if you can leverage AI as a tool in that aspect where it can get you 60 to 90% there, like 100%, like role playing, kind
Yes,
of like testing, like, okay, am I hitting all the points here? Even if you
exactly.
don't want to role play from a voice standpoint, but just like that's the easiest way for people to use AI in a way that feels where you're augmenting, right? It's authentic.
And like you just said, hunt, like have it hunt for cracks in your own delivery of that, right? Like make sure that the information that you're saying is clear, because AI will take prompts from you. You know that other person best, and AI doesn't. So what it believes someone else is going to respond with, or believes they're going to feel emotionally, might be just completely different than, again, that human experience of delivering that tough conversation.
Where's the difference between like augmentation and avoidance?
So the difference is I think, because again, we've done this work before, is how you prompt it. So, avoiding having a conversation with someone, or avoiding showing up as a leader, and using AI to sort of be your voice, it doesn't teach you much. Because in this environment, if you're always going to be able to stop and ask AI for something rather than be in the moment, that's kind of hard, especially with these people that are back almost full, like return to work, full days in the office. You're catching each other in the kitchen, or you're sitting on an airplane and you're having a conversation with, whoever you're traveling to the conference with. These are like in the moment moments, and you can't avoid them. So the difference between augmentation is that you can absolutely use this AI to sort of frame these conversations, but definitely not for avoiding it, because you're not going to be able to use it in moments that are critical as well. Those surprise moments that are critical, or the phone call that you get. And also, you can't kind of fake your way into empathy and emotion in the moment. So, AI can be helpful with helping frame and put that language together. But again, you're the one delivering it, and it needs to be like really set well.
Because like emotional intelligence comes up a lot, right? And I'm sure you're obviously helping people understand what that means in the EQ side of it. So leaders are using the tool if they use it correctly more and more and more. But like, what's your take still when it comes to that emotional intelligence side? If someone says like, I want to improve my emotional intelligence because I know that's a gap for them.
Yeah. So, there's pillars to emotional intelligence. And the first one is understanding yourself, right? Like understanding how you show up in those situations and how you manage your emotions. Our emotions trigger emotions in other people, or our responses and our words and our actions trigger a response in other people. And being able to manage that really well is important. But I've also seen, that I'll be in a conversation with someone, coaching them, because on paper they did not show any empathy, not even in the wording, or they really shut down all types of communication, open communication, and engaging in some of that empathy with people, because they used AI in some instances when they had to deliver it a little bit differently. So when you are in a conversation with someone that requires to show some empathy, like where are your facial expressions? Where is the tone of your voice? When you're reading something, you might forget that in that moment, you truly feel something, and you need to exhibit that feeling. So, I think a lot of coaching is necessary for people that are really implementing AI into an everyday practice. And like I said before, performance reviews the feedback from employees when they know that that review was written by AI is like they're devastated. They're absolutely devastated. And those are the moments where, if you are sharing a poor performance evaluation with someone, you should be direct and kind, and use that empathy, and come from a place of understanding. And if you're using AI to deliver that, they're just broken. Like, people are just broken. That relationship is broken. And so when you are not in relationship with that person, AI can create that barrier that you don't want.
But people are going to continue to use it, right? So like as leaders are listening to this, they're like, okay, even HR leaders, I'm going to use the tool. How can I use it in a way that my authentic self shows through, but I'm using the tool just to work smarter, not harder,
Yeah.
which I agree with. But then
Right.
like what advice can you give to them as they need to properly use the tool so that it doesn't jeopardize that emotional connection when someone's seeing their work presented?
I would have loved to have AI when I was younger in HR because I believe it could have been my like personal coach. And I do a lot of work with kids and like students at universities and people that are kind of growing into like about to step into the work world. And they're using AI as teachers right now. And it's teaching them something. And now I think that a lot of leaders and a lot of business folks and also employees, they need to use AI as a teacher, but also take those shortcuts. Find those like ways that you can cut down on the amount of time that things take and also understand what is human centric and what's repetitive. If it's repetitive, AI it. Why continue replacing the same text, the same conversation, create templates, like do all the things that make you faster, smarter, and better at your job? And the piece that it requires any type of emotion, you use AI to build that, but you can't use AI to deliver that. And so delivering an emotion is still not able to be done using AI. You can think that it's getting done, but it truly is it the way that your words would come across. There's this like one email I get constantly. Whenever I see it, I'm like, this is a lot. And it's a lot of information that I just want to get in front of the person and hear it from them. And when I do get in front of them and hear it from them, it is delivered and even said completely differently. So find a way for AI to bridge that gap from totally kind of structured and too professional and M dash to a version of it that is true to you. And I think that there could be a lot of work in there to kind of bring it to be our true partner in delivering emotional information, because I do use it that way. And like I said, I use it to edit my work of like, this is what I want to say, make it better. And then I'll say, okay, this is now exactly what I want to say. What would you edit? And I'm like, no, you know what? No M dash to that one. Or no, the power of threes. AI tends to take my words and turn it into like this, or that, or this, and that. And I see that pattern growing. And I'm like, I'm not that pattern person. So I teach my AI to kind of recognize when it feels too robotic for who I am and what my tone is. So really kind of being your own teacher, but using it as a teacher of like being better, more strategic, more professional, but also like, again, being centered around that emotion and that delivery.
Yeah, what I've seen lately, because I've used ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, is that
Yeah.
if you really want to scale the work that you're doing and make it as human sounding as possible, but again, with your reframing, your spot checking everything, you're expecting what you expect. Claude is the best.
Yeah.
So like advice for folks listening here, like you can create a project in Claude, upload all the different writing styles that you have. So it's gonna do its best to mimic the exact style and tone and cadence. That's going to cut down a lot of the writing for you, but you should still read every single word, every single line, and then you can like copy and paste and edit it to go out. So I think that's what you're alluding to, right? Eileen's like just working smart, not hard, but still making sure like you're involved in that whole process when you're using an AI tool.
It's so disappointing when someone feels like they're just talking to your AI instead of talking to you. So it's close of however you can train it, and you're the expert in that. However you can train it, however you can get it to be more authentic and more closer to you is definitely the way to go. Because again, like I start to trust the roads for me when I feel like I'm only talking to a robot. Like there's just this information that I'm like, what are we talking about here? This is not what we're talking about. So there's those gaps. And again, like my trust is broken a bit when I feel like I'm just talking to an AI rather than the actual person I emailed or the actual person that wrote a review.
Let me run this idea with you, because I've done this idea with other HR folks, and it could come across like very too futuristic, or it could come across like, okay, I can kind of see how we can scale onboarding. So this is an onboarding process, right? And I've said, because when you bring on new employees, you have managers and even other leaders like work with those new employees, and you're onboarding them, you're talking with them, you're meeting with them one-on-one. There's just a lot of touch points. Some of the touch points, if it's repetitive, I usually say, well, can
100%.
we turn that into a process where we have maybe an AI avatar, which has good emotional like expression, sounds
Mhm.
very natural, where it's you can't tell the difference if it's a person doing a recording that you're watching versus.
Right.
So if the technology is good enough, Eileen's, where you can't tell the difference, would you be open to that? Would you think HR evolving should consider some type of tech like AI avatar like that, where it's creating more personalized onboarding experiences, and then that's repetitive versus, of course, there's unique instances you have the human jump in.
I believe that if you can personalize it, game on. Game on, because that would be just so life-changing. The amount of time it takes us to personalize an onboarding program, it's a lot of time. Everything, that person's name and doing the one-on-one orientation or all of those things. And all of our clients do it a bit differently. Some of them want us to do that one-on-one orientation, and others are like, just send them everything, right? Like we always try to refine it to fit their brand and their culture, but we are more of like the hands-on people. I think that if it was a way to personalize an avatar and to get that person through a very personalized experience, it would be gold. It would be gold. It would be amazing, because then that person feels like somebody even took the time, to feed their name into the scripts. I would love it. I mean, I would love it. And again, going back to Dale Carnegie, somebody's name to them is the most beautiful sound in the world. And when you work with projects or anything in AI and you can personalize it to that standard, I mean, like I said, you're now touching an emotion through AI in a very positive way to combat that repetitiveness. Like I said before, if it's repetitive, get it out of here, right? Like AI it. And if it's emotional, get in front of it. So that's why I'm a fan of real interviews and not AI interviews.
Yep. So of course you're helping shape the future of work, right, from the human side, Eileen's, and then like how has that changed the way you think about your own leadership, your own family, or the way you manage your energy and time?
So I use Claude now. I've been experimenting with Claude, and I have a lot of demands on me, just even as a mom, as the leader of my company, but also as a human. Because when I'm with someone and I'm in a meeting with someone, I lock in. I'm not checking email. I'm not multitasking in Slack. I learned early on in my career that I will be laser locked and focused on whoever's in front of me at that moment, because it is important for me for them to feel that I'm giving them 100% of my attention. Yes, I sometimes get sidetracked, but what I love about Claude is that it scans everything and tells me what the biggest emergency is that I need to handle between meetings. If it can tell me to eat sometimes, I would love that even better. So I use it in my life as a leader to help enhance my priorities. I think number one. So my priorities are really important. Two, as someone who's in charge of new business and sales, I also use it to keep me honest and turn all of my information into one area. So I make sure that I'm pricing things correctly, or that I'm working with, the right type of clients for our mix. But then for my own family, time is so important to me. I have to work hard, right? I don't have another alternative right now. I have to work hard and I have to show up and I have to be there for them. So when I can use AI to show me the light and show me what is most important and show me how to prep for my week. And also from the personal standpoint, what do I need to order for my groceries if this is the grocery list for the week? I mean, even to that level, that is a way that I manage not just my energy and my time and my priorities, but also the amount of human connection I can have with my kids, because they're one day going to be grown and not living with me anymore. It would be devastating, but not really. But that piece of having AI accompany me in being the best mom that I can be, and being the best leader that I can be, and being locked in to every single meeting that I'm in, then it has done its job and more, because that time with those people, especially with my kids, is so valuable, and so valuable to them too.
100%. You're using it the right way as a leader. So I love all the stuff that you've been doing with it that's what we're trying to share with the world here is like,
Right.
So if you could change one belief in leadership right now to make sure humanity actually thrives in the AI era, what would it be?
I think the belief in leadership is that you need AI to talk for you. You really need to talk for yourself and use AI as that catalyst, as that foundation to help you bring your thoughts together. Gone are the days of having to put all those pieces of paper in front of you and pluck the things out, rewrite things. I mean, you have the power to put that all together in seconds. And so if that person can use AI in the right way, then leadership can deliver that emotional message and just be the people that they need to do, which are these leaders for other people. Success looks like you, right? You're in this position because you found a way to be successful. So if success looks like you, use the tools that you've been given and then deliver it like an actual human so that trust is still there and that it's built.
I love it. Love it. Eileen, where can people find you? What are you focusing on right now?
So people can find me either on LinkedIn. My first name is spelled Alllyns, as you can see there, last name Melendez. And our website is www.hrtransformed.com. And they can drop us a note in our contact us page.
What are some current projects you're working on right now? Like what are the hot topics that you're doing?
So handbooks are a big one right now. Everyone's sort of redoing policies, including AI, and also finding ways to keep their employees retained and engaged, kind of fun perks that fit where we are right now in terms of our development and also what people need. We are now, like we had talked about before, 5 generations in the workforce, but there's a little common thread between all of them, and they want to be treated with kindness and they want to be treated fairly. And so I've got stuff going on my screen. They want to be treated fairly.
I don't know what that was.
Well, we're celebrating it.
You're magical.
So we want them to be treated a certain way. And so we are working on a lot of these sort of like policies and kind of gauging how to have real conversations with people and bringing them into this era of like being better leaders in person, in offices, and providing feedback that's tough. So always the same kind of like the policies, the handbooks, and, leveling up these leaders to really deliver information in a way that keeps that listening open and doesn't shut people down and moves the needle, right? Because we're just trying to make the boat go faster. I'm just trying to give you some oars, some paddles. And then we're going to put an engine back there and just have it run.
Yes. Well, definitely want you to come back to talk about benefits and packages. I have these conversations with HR leaders all the time because a lot of times when you're trying to recruit or retain people, it's still like brand communication, it's branding, it's marketing. So like, what are like, if you can just share a quick tidbit, like what are you seeing that's unique or different than traditional benefits packages that you feel is emerging? And we can definitely unpack another 30-minute session here, Eileen's, but I'd love to kind of hear a little teaser there.
The big one that we just saw, and like shout out to our client, they're doing a paternity leave. So it is for pets. So it's paternity leave. So a leave of absence to care for a new pet that you bring home. So, they need a lot of attention, a lot of love, a lot of like chasing after them so they don't do their business inside. So, or they do it inside, but not in the right areas. So that has been a really fun one that was brought to us from one of our newest clients. So we love that one.
That sounds amazing. It's funny you brought that up because one of my other clients, like they were saying like, yeah, we're adding like pet insurance. Like that's like a thing that people are asking for. So there is definitely this uptick trend in the pet side.
For sure, on the pet side. And then obviously fertility is a big one with a lot of folks here from both the female standpoint and also from the partner standpoint as well. So those fertility benefits are a big push right now.
Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. Well, have to have you come back for that, at least.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Again, thank you for all the wisdom that you shared. So that's the briefing for this week. Remember, AI isn't just a tool, it is infrastructure. So if you want the resources from this episode, go to aiadvisorguy.com and grab the file from the library. And always remember, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. I'm the AI Advisor Guy. I'll see you next week.